Hello, good evening and welcome. Today is Tuesday, October 1st, 2013, the effective date for the new tariff increment, and the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, demanded a tariff increment of 166%. The PRC gave them something, not everything. The PRC, in its defense, says it had to meet the need for the provision of adequate revenue to ensure the financial viability of utilities. The average Ghanaian is looking into his pocket and sleeping in the darkness. What could justify such a sharp increase in tariff, especially at a time when the most exciting thing to happen in recent time is a 10% increase in labor wages? I want to understand why I am being asked to pay so much for so little by way of service. I am sure you do too. So let us talk with, what's the name, sir? Ebenezer Bading. Ebenezer Bading, who is an energy economist, the ECG tariff team. And by name is Nana Sakwao. This is PM Express. Hello and welcome back to the show. My guest in studio is Ebenezer Bading, who is an energy economist and a member of ECG's tariff team. So he was there and he knows exactly why they needed however much to run ECG. And we're going to have a very simple conversation. Was it energy made simple?
Yeah.
Energy made simple. That's what we're going to do today. Energy made simple. Yeah. Ebenezer, welcome to PM Express.
Thank you.
Ebenezer, my first thought as ordinary energy user is that you can do whatever you want, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to drag you to court. Nobody's going to sue you. So you're going to turn up and say, yep, 166, that's what we need. That's what you're going to pay. What can we do about it? And that's what you do. You're taking advantage of the simple energy user.
Thank you. Indeed, it's energy made simple. Let's look at it this way. If we look at ECG and the power sector, we're supposed to be accountable to our customers. Our first responsibility is to our customer. So we make sure that we go in, procure power at very competitive rates, get it down, distribute it to the customer. That is our role. Now, in doing this, we have a regulator who sits aside, looks at the issues independently, and then makes sure that they pass through, if we deserve, pass-through rates. If we need to be sanctioned, for example, they call us, bring us to book. There are numerous occasions where the regulators have sanctioned ECG, for example. We will have to go into a customer's place, pay back the customer what was taken from the customer and all that. So there is a mechanism for us to be accountable to. Primarily, we are accountable to our customers, and we make sure we do that. If you sit on the other side, let's say you meet ECG talking about procuring independent power producers, that's where you see the difference. How we argue on behalf of our customers, just to make sure that prices are at the barest minimum and very competitive. That is.
Are the customers aware, the average customer aware of his or her rights as in what to do when things go wrong? With regards to maybe I'm being charged unfairly, or I've gotten a power surge and my fridge is blown or something.
Okay.
I mean, how many people would know which channels to go and get their fridge repaired or replaced?
On the issue of awareness, I would say that there's always room for improvement. But we try as much as possible to get information to our customers that this is what you deserve to have. This is your right. This is what you should have. For example, we have a customer charter, which is pasted around our district offices and all that, trying to tell the customer of his rights. If you are disconnected illegally, come in and complain, and it will be resolved. if even you don't get the needed attention at the district, come in straight to the head office and it will be resolved. So ECG is the first utility that launched this customer charter. And we are implementing it gradually. For lack of funds, it's not been too fast, but we are implementing it gradually.
Okay, so if you're listening out there, you know that you have your rights, and if you have complaints, you know, go to your local office and make a complaint, because I know and I hear all the time, you know, my fridge blew, my TV blew, my air conditioning blew up because of, you know, power dropping or power surging, and they all have rights. And in that case, what do you do? Replace it for them?
No, what we realize is that the customers are ill-informed about how to even organize or arrange gadgets in their homes. You're talking about an iron connected to one socket, there's a fridge on it, there's that on it, there's that on it. Before you realize, it creates surges, it creates sparks. So you are drawing too much from only one socket, and then it causes fire. Now, all these are ways the customer should be informed. You need to split the loading. That's why when you put a refrigerator on one socket, it should be dedicated to the refrigerator. If you put an iron on another, it should be, because they all draw volumes of electricity.
Okay.
And all these must go to the customer. The information must go to the customer that you need to reorganize and arrange some of these gadgets in a way that you balance the load in the house.
I mean, it's like generally, I'm sure I haven't done the survey, but if I went out there and spoke to 10 people, probably 8 people would not be happy with ECG.
Yes. It has to do with an image issue. And in recent times, we are taking concrete steps to address it. For example, there's a customer satisfaction survey, which is going on right now. In time past too, we have relegated generation and transmission to the background. What the customer knows is ECG. We are fine with that. But what we need to tell them is that we are a distribution company. So if, for example, the crisis we had, it was a generation challenge. We go to the market to purchase power, it is not there to buy. Like you sell oranges, you go to the market, there are no oranges. What do you do? Now, in this case, ECG had to go out, contract additional power from Senate Energy, for example, to come and serve its customers. So, yes, all boils down to getting information to the customer to know who ECG is and then what our role is. That's the primary issue. Now, this customer satisfaction survey will be able to spell out what really the customer expects from ECG and how that will be mitigated, how we are going to ensure that we make the customer happy. That's our primary goal.
So, but before you do that, then you need to let the average customer know that you are only a distributor. Because like you're saying, the perception is that ASARE, so far as it's power, it's you.
ECG.
And even somehow they will add Akosombo to your business.
Yes.
So you need to have an education to sort of separate it.
Yes.
Well then, if you only do distribution, you know, then not a lot should go wrong on your side then.
No, the distribution network itself too has challenges. For example, you are talking about, let's say, VRA producing power. It gives it to Gridco. Gridco may have only a few transformers or a handful of transformers. When it comes to distribution, ECG has 2.5 million customers. There should be transformers serving all these alternative sources of supply.
Is it nationwide or?
No, ECG's limit is at Brongahafo. So we end at Ashanti region actually. Brongahafo and upwards belongs to NEDCO, Northern Electricity Company.
So from Accra to
from the south, from the coast up
to Brongahafo?
No, say Ashanti region.
Ashanti region.
Ashanti region. So we end at Ashanti region.
And you have 2.5
million customers, yes. Now, although the rest of the area is covered by NEDCO, the customer population there is just about 500,000. Because there's a lot of development in southern Ghana than in North. We're trying to spread it evenly. So that's how it is. So ECG, we are responsible, for example, for 75% of electricity consumption in Ghana. And most of the customers belong to us. Now, it's our duty. We don't even care if they know only ECG. But the issue is that sometimes there are challenges, like the load shedding, the crisis we went into. It was a generation problem, but ECG had to carry that problem. Fine. Now we have seen what that potentially is to the company. So we're going in to expand generation sources. We won't generate power ourselves, but we need to diversify contracts, that how we contract power from the various producers, so that we are able to make sure that at all costs we get power to the consumer.
So the other thing which the simple energy user is really, really bitter about is that the major customers who owe you the company changing debt, they seem to be treated with kids' gloves. And the guys who owe 25 CDs and 15 CDs, and they get disconnected. And then they need to go and find another 60 or 70 CDs to come and get connected again. And those who owe the big ones, you seem to just say, oh yeah, we'll come back tomorrow. Why is that?
The information hasn't gone to our customers enough. Our, we call them special load tariff customers or industries. These are customers who are most often very disciplined. One check, it goes, we cash the money, they've paid their bills. You are talking about a customer, you purchase power, straight away it goes through the bulk supply point, and then you serve that customer. You don't spend money to even go process the power down like a residential customer. These customers don't impose too much cost on our network as a residential customer would do. Electricity, the more you step it down to the final user, some are lost on the line. That's an engineering principle, and you can't do without it, what we call technical losses. Okay, so if we talk about even system losses, it's in two parts, technical losses and non-technical losses. Now, as we step it down to this customer, it costs ECG so much. Meanwhile, the industrial customer is made to pay more just by way of subsidizing the residential customer. So for industry, as much as we collect our tariffs as it should be, it wouldn't cost ECG much to collect those tariffs. That's why it's perceived in the public domain that, oh, they are, they are treated with soft.
No, it's in the public domain because it comes in the newspapers that, for instance, the ministries, the big five-star hotels, it comes in the papers.
The ministries, departments, and agencies are a different issue altogether.
How if about we talk about five-star hotels?
Our hotels, like we went in. There was a hotel in Kumasi. I'll tell you this story. We had to organize for our employees to stay in the hotel for 1 week before we were unable to unearth illegal connection. We do get them all the time. We do handle them all the time. And it's the same way as residential. But it happens that about 98% of our customer population is residential. Just about 2% is industry. Now, these customers, we are able to get them any day, anytime to pay their bills. But policing 98% of our customers, a little over 2 million customers, has not been very easy. Today, it's one trick or another. We have to bring in sophistication so that you are in the office, you see what is happening on the field. And all this is costing us so much. The prepaid meters we have today are in excess of our $250 for one. Unlike the credit meter, which is just $60. So these are some of the changes that are going on. But we'll make sure that we get these customers. Like we realize that the legislation were disadvantaged when it comes to legislation on theft of power. You take cases to court and prosecution is done, they penalize the person, you pay 50 Ghana cedis for stealing power for 2 years, and you don't know what to do. Today, we have succeeded in getting the AG's office to understand this issue. We have set up utility courts, which works like the fast-track high court. And we have prosecuted even our employees and customers who are found guilty of theft. All these ECG had to carry the cost. Make sure that we train the judges and magistrates to understand to understand the concept of electricity theft. When you move the live wire from here to this point, it's theft. It amounts to theft. All this we've done to make sure that at least we'll be able to police the 2.5 million customers we have. That's the issue on the ground.
Because my next question is what you sort of treated was the losses. But I'll go to technical losses. Hasn't the industry advanced enough for us to be able to reduce the amount of losses in transmission? I mean, because if we're going to use that as an excuse in 2013, we need to reduce it.
I share that same view, but the issue here is that we had lined up programs, projects from 2000, from 1995, to make sure that we reduce these losses. What happens? We make negative return on our investment or our assets, and therefore are not able to self-finance these projects. Until the World Bank comes in, oh, I'm giving you $100 million for the next 5 years. ECG has to wait. These are the challenges on the ground. We have to go borrow on our balance sheet, get manufacturers, credible manufacturers to supply us equipment on credit to make sure that we even keep the system running, let alone talk about investments. Now, technical losses are reduced through investments. So as we delay on investments, the losses actually increase because always consumption is growing. Now we have a backlog of 10 years investment. Let me give you an example. We have the Adringano substation. It's a bulk supply point, a third bulk supply point for Accra. We had two, one at Malam, one at Achimota, then the third one at Adringano. That project should have been commissioned in 2010. We commissioned it in 2000. We commissioned it last year. So that tells you the gap we have. We have said that we need about 200 million for the next 5 years, year on year.
Dollars.
200 million year on year dollars for the next 5 years to be able to implement our expansion programs, just to make sure that there's enough capacity, transformer and line capacity, so that customers, at least if one line serving you goes up, another line can support you. You will never experience outage in the room. But we don't have the means. That's the situation we found ourselves. We got a team of American engineers to partner with us to do some maintenance and all that. We went round, there was a cable fault, and we have a cable test van, which is about 1.7 million euros. It patrols the line. As you drive along the line, wherever there's a break in the cable, which is planted 6 feet down, it senses it and beeps. We can get through forested areas and it doesn't sense anything. You have to water the ground for weeks before it can sense where the cable is. You know what the Americans told us? They said if it were them, 2 days, they would just build a new line. Do we have the means to do that? These are the issues confronting us. That's how even we are talking of tariffs today.
You see, the tariffs, as much as everybody agrees that somehow they need to pay more, and obviously they want the service to back it.
Okay.
But then the thing is, you know, it's like you wake up one morning and they say, well, we haven't increased it for X amount of time, so give me 100%.
Okay.
So why didn't you take 10% last year and 5% this year and 2% here and 3% there, so that you don't feel it? Because the average wage won't go up by 100%. So what was the big weight? Why?
Okay. From 2010, June 2010, in fact, this cycle has been ongoing, even it dates back over 10 years last. Then we came to the year 2010 and then said that let's use the automatic tariff adjustment mechanism. So we brought into force an automatic tariff adjustment mechanism. We have a formula, trigger factors. Once the trigger factors say that there should be upward adjustment, it is done. Once it says that there should be a downward adjustment, it is done. 2011, it worked very well. 2012, nothing happened. And we kept writing to the PURC. We kept writing. Our costs are going up. Now, ECG, one way or the other, was trying to stomach these costs. But it got to August when gas stopped flowing to Ghana. Asogli power plant went down, 200 megawatts. We had to shed load. In fact, the shortfall was about 350 megawatts. Then ECG now went to into discussions with Senate Energy, procured 110 megawatts just to bridge the gap. Still, there was a shortfall, so we had to shed load or ration power. All these came at a cost, to the extent that we couldn't even bear it anymore. Because the cost of running on natural gas, if we switch to crude, is twice. So from August last year till the load shedding ended in somewhere July, that's the situation we were confronted with. And to make it worse, Senate Energy, their rate was not in the tariff. We came on board somewhere in May. Also, their tariff is 9 cents. It's also not in the what we charge the consumers. So
how much are you charging the consumer?
The consumer pays for, okay, that was before, was paying 22.77 pesos per kilowatt hour. Now, out of that, 10.53 pesos was for generation. Okay. So whereas ECG was being phased with 26.
So generation will be Volta.
It's VRA, Asogli, and the other IPPs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, they all charge the same.
Yeah, no, it's not the same. It's a weighted average. VRA is being paid 8.45 pesos out of the 10.
Okay.
And then Asogli's rate is a bit higher. It's about 12 or so. And then the weighted average comes to 10. Okay. You have to multiply by the energy before you're able to. But whereas the average cost for generation, the average revenue generated from power generation was 10.53. ECG was faced with a cost of 20.48. So instead of charging 26.48, we were charging 10.53 for generation only. That is from last year, August, till now. Even as we speak, we are talking about the pile of debt from August till September this year, because the tariff was effective October.
So how much more is on this new tariff to offset the backlog?
No, there's nothing. We are looking, it's forward-looking tariff. So it says effective 1st October. So today, it starts from today. Meanwhile, we have some backlog of debt.
So from today, what's the charge? I mean, it's not 22.
Now it's about 36 pesos.
36 pesos.
Yeah. It went up by, I think, 62%.
Okay. Now, with this 36 pesos, obviously there's a profit margin in there.
No, there's no profit.
This is break-even cost.
We asked for, instead of from 22, we asked for 60.55. And we are now giving 36.
65.
Yes.
Now,
you know, the regulators mentioned in the announcement that we deserve to have 150% after assessing the 166% proposals. They came up with 150%, and that it was going to be in 2 phases. The first phase was the 78 they spoke about, and then the next phase will also come through the automatic adjustment mechanism. Now, here the signal is that they listen to customers. Customers express some view, though they accepted that there should be an increase. The quantum of it was a concern. So, therefore, PURC decided to do this gradual calibration upwards. Yes.
Okay, I need to understand this breakdown, because I want to know when I'll call you back in the studio for the next tariff increase. Because you were buying at 22 and selling at 10. 10.53?
No. Okay. The 22 is global. 22 means that a portion is going to generation, a portion is going to transmission, a portion is going to distribution.
All together came to 22.
Yes.
Okay. And how much was
for generation?
Yes.
That was the 10.53 I mentioned. So out of that, the 22, ECG will collect 22 and pay 10.53 to VRA and Asogli.
Okay. What I want to find out is that the total energy on the table in my house was maybe 10 cedis, but you went out there and paid maybe 12 cedis or 15 cedis for it, and I bought it for 10.
Yes. The point I'm trying to make was that 10, given that the generation, what is in the tariff, in the generation tariff was 10.53, ECG was faced with a cost, generation cost of 26.48.
But how much were you able to sell it for?
10.53, that's the generation. Because you see, if I come to break down the 22.7, what we have is 2.48 for Gridco.
What's the unit? Is it per kilowatt?
We say for simplicity per unit.
Per unit, okay. Per unit. So as a customer yesterday, how much was I paying per a unit?
22.7.
Me?
Yes.
22?
Average, on the average.
0.7.
Yes.
How much?
Then let me break up the 22 for you to understand.
Okay.
10.53 went to generation. Then we pay another 2.48 to Gridco transmission. Then 9.76 comes to ECG.
9.76.
You understand? Okay. But so this is what we were implementing. But the real cost to us was 60.55. That is here.
Okay.
60.55.
So for
and
you
I'm going to break down that 60.55.
So for you to break even, I need to give you 60.55 per unit.
Very good.
But I was giving you 22.
22. From last year.
From last year. So there's about 40
Yes, about 38.
38 pesos gap.
Pesos gap, yes.
38 pesos gap.
Yes. So that is the pile.
Times 2 million people times...
By the energy. You multiply by the energy in total.
Okay.
Yes.
So 38 gap. And now, as of today, how much am I giving you per unit?
Now it's 38. 36.
36.
36 pesos.
But you are still going to buy it at 60?
Yes, that's the cost I'm facing.
So we've reduced the 38 to how much now? The 38...
let me do that. 60.55 minus 30. Say about 28 thereabout.
So so with all the backup of 38, now we moving forward, we're going to add, let's say 20.
Yes, but the PURC mentioned that we deserve to have 150, so it wouldn't be up to the 60.55. It will be a little lower than the 60.55. You understand? Okay.
So realistically then, how do we clear the backlog?
Yes. In fact, that is our headache now. And we are dialoguing with the government of Ghana. For example, the bill for Senate Energy has been presented to the Minister of Finance. They are trying to judge around it and then know what really, where the money will come from. And that's it. Because that's energy that has been sold already, consumed already.
So we have to pay for it?
Yes, that's the issue. So as we speak, we owe Senate Energy, we owe BUI Energy. We cannot say they should shut down. They should still run. So what we were doing was that we won't pay VRA fully, we won't pay Asogli fully, and then share the rates for these customers so that they can be in business and run.
Let me go back and then we'll come back to this thing.
Okay.
Can't we take, like the affluent areas, let's say airports and the cantonment, can't you just give them to, let's say, Asogli, say, look, this is your area, you give them the power, you sell it to them? Because there they can afford it.
It's difficult because what we say is that we're trying to introduce what we call distributed generation, where you contract IPPs to connect directly into ECG's network, so they won't pass through Gridco. Now, it's an attempt to bring in some reliability. If even we have a system collapse or Gridco system doesn't work, ECG will find a way of serving some critical customers, hospitals, some schools, some military installations and all that, and then even the bulk customers, industries. This ECG is coming in with that. Now, the tariff we are implementing has blocks. So we have 0 to 50 block, 51 to 300 block, 300 to 600, and then 600 and above. Now, the affluent group are normally in the 600 and above, and they pay in excess of the average. You understand? Okay, let me put it this way. In administering the 36, which is implemented now, 0 to 50 units, if you consume that, you pay 15 Ghana pesos
per unit
instead of 36.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So the low consumption group don't pay. This is what we call the lifeline group.
They don't pay the
full rate. No, this is an average number.
And the high consumption rate, they pay the 60.
No, they pay somewhere around, if I'm not mistaken, 48.
Okay.
Because we are not up to the 60 yet, until the next phase of
the airport customer with his air conditions.
They will fall into a higher bracket and they pay more. It's a progressive tariff.
So they are not too much of a problem.
No,
the problem is down there.
Yes. Now the 0 to 50 group, really, government of Ghana pays something to support them. So they don't even pay the 15 as will be indicated on the bill.
Okay, I'm going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're just trying to see if there's a solution somewhere. Maybe the 0 to 50 should have alternative energy, to use so that they take them off the grid and find out what we do. But, I have an energy economist in the house, so we're going to simplify energy today. Stay tuned, we're coming back. Well, welcome back, and we are trying to simplify energy and all the stories that go with it. And I must understand that, this conversation, it's all sort of, coming back, to me. Basically, they're buying the energy at, 60.55, and then total cost, everything, generation, transmission, distribution, everything comes to, 60.55. However, when it comes to my house, per unit, I pay 22.77. Yeah, that's the previous time. Now I'm going to pay 36. So still, we don't even pay for how much it costs to get to my house. Now this economy is magic economy, if you ask me. However, those in the affluent area are paying the realistic cost.
Even more, they are subsidizing those in the low consumption
area. So now the issue then is, and I presume the low consumption area, it's much more than the high consumption area, I presume.
You mean customers in the low consumption? Yes, it's much more.
And even though they don't use many air conditioning and everything, well, because of their numbers, do they use, per unit wise, do they use more than those in the affluent?
No, they use less, very little. You're talking about a rural customer with only one bulb and one radio. His consumption is about maybe 20 units for a month, whereas somebody who uses an air conditioner will be consuming about 600 plus units. Yes. So such customers we know.
No, I'm not talking about like one-on-one. I'm talking about if you look at the 0 to 50 clientele base, and you look at your 100 and above clientele base.
Yes.
If
0 to 50 is more.
That's
more than, it's about twice as more
as that. Okay. Yes. And yes, still they are not paying the normal tariff.
The normal.
Good. Yes. So what I'm now asking is alternative energy for the low ones, so that. In
fact, the cheapest energy you can get is only Akosombo Dam and Pon Dam.
I see.
Yes, that's about 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Now it's priced at 3 cents because it's more like a sunk cost. It's been there for years. Yes. The cost has been paid for. If you say today you are building a new hydropower station, it will cost you between 9 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So what we say is that, okay, in principle, let's give the cheap hydro to the low consumption group. So the low consumption group will pay somewhere about 15 pesos. Even the 15 pesos, government will pay, I think, about 5 pesos for them. So they end up paying about 10 pesos, flat rate. Okay. Now, those in the high consumption group will now pay fully for the expensive power, which is thermal, and it's priced at about 20 cents.
So then that should work out then?
Yes.
So that's to save your cost?
Yes. Yes, that is it.
But
what it is that the average number of the 60, we are nowhere near it. We are 36. So even we need to now come to the average of 60 and see how to now share it in a way that low consumption customers will pay something small, and then high consumption customers will pay the bigger chunk. The other thing is, if we want to bring in dynamism, really, as an economist, I know that industry should employ residential before residential can even afford the little we are asking from them. Now, today, what we have is that industry is paying more to subsidize the residential. So industry cost of producing or doing business is becoming more expensive. What it is that they cannot expand. They fold up. Like steel companies, always ECG has to meet them halfway, discuss with them. Other than that, they shut down and lay off Ghanaians who are working for them. So if we're able to let industry pay for their true cost of service, which means that they wouldn't have to go and subsidize other firms, then rather they will expand and employ more of the residential customers who will get paid well and then can afford any rate you charge them. You get the point? So it has to, we are now dialoguing with PURC to find a way of introducing gradually cost of service into the picture so that industry really will be booming. They will know that, oh, at least power costs are going down. So we can expand, employ more customers, employ more Ghanaians. Ghanaians now will be well paid and they should be able to afford power, the cost of power supply. This has to do with a structural adjustment in electricity rate. That we are dialoguing with PURC. We hope that at the next phase of tariff adjustment, these mechanisms will come in and gradually will be rolled out to customers.
Because you see, anytime you talk about electricity and energy, the first thing that comes to mind, or one primary thing, is industry.
Yes.
So I'm surprised that, you know, we're talking about electricity, and only 2%.
Yes, 2%.
It's industry.
It will amaze you that 2% is responsible for 50% of our revenue. They consume just about, 35% of total energy. And then they pay about 50% of our energy, 2% of our customers. So it tells you how much we are taking from industry. And for the economy to move on well, it's better to explore in every part of the world, industry pay less. You can check in every part of the world, advanced countries, industry pay less, residential pay more. But what it is that industry is able to employ residential and they are able to afford it. Now in that case, if we make industry cost of doing business very high, what it is that they employ little, they don't pay them well. The little even you have imposed on residential, you can't get it. So these are, as part of our studies on tariff, we try to look at the impact of the tariff on our customers, because we will go out there and collect revenue. So we study the impact and then make sure that we get the right policies or right signals to the regulators so that they can now pass it through in the tariff. That's how it is.
I don't know how you can answer this, but
okay,
how do we depoliticize energy? You know, when people mount platforms and say, I will make electricity free, I'll make it cheap, I'll bring electricity here. And I always say, there are sometimes, you know, there's a small village, you know, with 3 huts, and then you have to take about maybe 600 kilometers of wire to go there so that they light one bulb. I mean, could there have been any other means of lighting that bulb other than that?
There are standalone schemes, for example, off-grid electricity. We have said that if, for example, government of Ghana can pre-finance solar plant, small-scale solar for small communities, so that at least they will be able to have electricity when even they are not connected to the grid. But the challenge here is that solar can run only for about 10 hours. When daylight is out, solar is out. So we need alternative energy for them. we're talking about waste to energy. In fact, we are pushing strongly on renewable energy, waste to energy, because we have a lot of waste here. If we can get it to run our power plants and produce electricity, we'll be very happy. But here again, the investment is not coming in. Now, how do we depoliticize these? One of the ways is to administer strongly the automatic tariff adjustment mechanism, whether it's an election year or not. Once the macroeconomic variables say that it's becoming cheaper to produce power, let it reflect in pricing. So ECG has called for dynamism in pricing, also sustainability.
One thing I want to find is, I mean, how would I even know that I'm paying? I mean, how would I do? I mean, look at the meter and count, and then multiply by how much I paid in a month. How, if I want to check?
Okay, what the tariff PURC announced, they gave the block rates 0 to 50, 51 to 300, and all that. So what it is that a meter reader comes to your house, for example. He picks your bill, your meter reading,
and then 1,000. And then he goes and come back, it's 1,200.
Yes, and then maybe the difference is 20 or 200 units. You take the 200 units, pick the which class do you fall, 51 to 300. That's the rate you pay. So multiply 200 by that, the unit rate for the class, and you have your bill. Plus a service charge. A service charge, the service charge, I think now is about, is it two, I'm not too sure, but it's about two cities.
So I have a prepaid meter.
Okay, so the prepaid meter.
I was absolutely petrified when they were going to bring it there. You know, I was absolutely petrified. But it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Thank you.
Now, that's I must admit, it's not as bad as I thought what it was going to be. I think I pay fair. You know, I think it's fair. However, how do I now multiply? I mean, I just keep checking and say, we'll top it up.
A prepaid meter is a bit complex. You know how much units you purchase. Let's say you go in today, let's say...
I bought 20 CDs.
You bought 20 CDs. Then you look at when that 20 CDs will be utilized. Is it 2 days? Is it 3 days? Now, with that, you can now estimate your monthly consumption. Because you'll be able to tell that if I bought 20 CDs and it took me for 2 weeks, then if I buy another 20 CDs, I will stay on till the end of the month. So that's 40 CDs for the month. Now, 40 CDs, see which energy that corresponds to the 40 CDs. So you have to now take 40 CDs, divide by the total energy. In fact, when you you purchase the power, it gives you your units actually. So if it's 200 units, it tells you, because it will calculate last month's consumption and then tell you, but most often we don't even look at the slip. No, you just look at the amount involved. But there is a unit in there that says this is your consumption. So if you pick that consumption and you come and sit down and multiply it by the tariff bracket which you fall in, and you don't get the number, you should see ECG.
I need to check, because I don't check.
It's there. You will see the energy, the unit rate, and the service charge is there. So you can do the multiplication by yourself. Yes. Now, what we have also introduced is a reckoner. A reckoner, whenever there is a tariff adjustment, ECG will sit down and then do a calculation. If you consume 1 unit, this is how much you should pay. If you consume 2 units, this is how much. And then we paste it at all our district offices. If you demand it anywhere, it should be given to you, for you to see, oh, if I consume 500 units, this is my consumption. This is my rate. If I consume 20 units, this is my rate. That's what the reckoner does. So ECG prepares that. We're going to develop that very soon, and it will be deployed to all our district offices.
So at least you know...
Yes, service centers. In fact, it will be on our website as well.
But my worry now, and I'm sure every discerning citizen watching now, is there's still, the truth of the matter is that there's still a gap. We are not paying for how much we are getting this thing, and somehow we need to pay it or stop it from happening. Either you bring cheaper electricity to the house, or we find more money?
What we say is that for the cost that we have incurred since August last year, we are ring fencing it. We're dialoguing with government of Ghana. We're also dialoguing with PURC on how these could be handled. It could be that government of Ghana says, oh, I have so much, I can support it in this way. We pick it and then see how to roll out, pay our suppliers, and then move on. Now, going ahead, what we are also charging, let's say from today onward, is also lower than really our cost. Now, what we say is that we have lined up some projects that should be implemented within some time frames. ECG is saying that we'll have to now reorganize these time frames for project implementation. So we're going to now stagger projects. Ongoing projects we have to borrow with the little adjustment we have. We should be able to go to the banks to borrow in some additional funds to support project implementation and make sure that at least we improve the quality of supply to customers. Let it become visible. Let them see it, customers see it, and then they will be convinced and they will pay more.
So things like, insulated cables and stuff like that, that's what we haven't even talked about all those things yet.
It's part of project implementation.
It's part of the project.
We buy distribution materials, we buy transformers, we buy switch gears, cables and all that to do our maintenance and then expansion.
I like diversifying, right? Why is it that till today, we have engineers that can fix these transformers and do everything. They come from tech with all the amount. Can't we build a transformer? Won't it be cheaper? I mean, do we necessarily need to go and buy one from Taiwan or Philippines and bring it? I mean,
Ghana hasn't moved into manufacturing, full manufacturing. Transformers, we have a repair factory in Ghana here. They do some rewinding and all that, just to keep it running for a while. So ECG falls on that as well.
How long would it train, somebody to build a transformer? I mean, if you spoke to
it has to do with technology. It has to do with technology. We've spoken to a number of companies. We're talking about Matalek from Lebanon, big companies who are even willing to come in to set up the plants here. Now, the question is demand. Once they set up, they invest in the technology and all that, by how much would you need the transformers? ECG will be buying maybe about, let's say about maximum 10,000 for a year. They will need a demand of about 50,000. So some are even looking at getting into the sub-region, Nigeria and all that, to get these markets once they set up the factory here. We have a meter manufacturing company in Ghana.
No,
there's a local meter plant here. And here again, they bring in the raw materials and come and assemble. It's an assembling plant. They bring in the raw materials from Egypt and then come and assemble it here. So a number of them, if you see the meters they've written on Ghana Electrometer, it's a local firm. And ECG buys from them. When you talk about...
the reason why I'm talking is to make cost, to reduce the cost. And that's why I'm proposing that the assembly here, so not only the made in Ghana aspect of it, which is good, but just so that instead of maybe paying $10,000 for the transformer, you could probably pay, $6,000 or $7,000, saving $3,000 to buy an extra yard of cable or something. Okay.
In the short term, putting up plants will be expensive to the customers. But in the long term, when they will be manufacturing and there's economies of scale, then you will see the true benefit. So some of these plants and then transformer plants outside, they have existed for in excess of 50 years, producing the same thing. And then now efficiency and all that comes in. They're able to source from good markets and all that, and then they be down priced. Today, as we speak, if we say we're setting up a new firm here to produce, the technology itself alone will cost you so much. So it has to do with getting the commitment to start something now. That's the problem.
I have 2 minutes before my show ends, and I still, as a consumer, owe you 20 pesos at least of what I'm buying from you.
Yes.
What do we do?
ACG is finding innovative ways to make sure that at least its cost is beaten down. Today we're talking about fuel tracking device, vehicle tracking devices, so that at least operational costs will be coming down. We're talking about system losses, where electricity theft, people who do illegal connection will find ways of tracking them to make sure that at least we get customers and our employees to be disciplined. Today we've installed CCTV cameras at all our front-end offices, district offices, just to be monitoring, to be doing remote monitoring, to make sure that at least our customers are being served the way they deserve to be served. Now we believe that give ourselves time, these will be able to reduce our operational costs significantly. It's happened that we have depended on hydropower for so long a time, to the extent that we have overdrafted the dam and we don't have other sources of generation. So really now our cost is being driven largely by generation. But it will get to a point it will buffer, because we are looking at a case where there will be sufficient generation, there will be a reserve margin, and then we can now build competition among the power plants.
Ebenezer, thank you very much.
Let me add one small item. As we're talking about increase in tariffs, let's look at energy conservation. I have experienced it myself by making sure that maximum 6 o'clock, 5:30 a.m., my outside lights are off. I was able to save about 20 cedis a month.
Let us be smart and wise in how we use energy. I was talking to Ebenezer Bading, who's an energy economist. He's also a member of the ECG tariff team. And indeed, he has enlightened us as to what in this goes in and comes out. We are not paying exactly what we are using. We're not paying exactly for what we're using. And we need to find, I think, 20 pesos more from where only God knows. But I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. This is PM Express. My name is Alan Sakwao. And tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again.